short list. Okay. While that seems like a very short list, host events can be up to 19 or 20 events. Okay. We started out with, I think 12 events when we began our planning. The House of Friendship, that is an animal all in itself. It is huge, and there are so many different things that have to take place for the House of Friendship. And the House of Friendship is also split. Half of it is Rotary International booths. The other half are the host organization committee booths. The Rotary International side, they give away one booth per organization or project, Rotary project, and those on their side are free to whoever the exhibitor is. So they only get one booth. The HOC side of the House of Friendship is for commercial exhibits. Now, if someone asks for a booth from RI and they don't get it, then they have the option of coming to the other side and purchasing a booth from the host organization committee. And they can purchase as many as they would like. So that is something that a lot of people don't realize in the House of Friendship. Local promotions, that is an HOC responsibility. And local in Houston, we just consider that all of Texas. When it was time to discuss the theme, we did have some input on that. We wanted to make sure that we didn't go with the usual Texas cowboy theme. Houston is so much more than that. So we come up with Discover New Horizons, and we are been able to take that theme and work in many different directions. Now, we also help with some input on the flag ceremony, but I will tell you, even now we are like, what, 75, 80 days out of the convention, and planning for the flag ceremony hasn't begun yet. So I think we are tackling that with the Rotary International staff members in about 2 weeks. All right, everything else falls to the International Convention Committee. Basically, the RI staff handles everything else. The quickest way to realize how are they really split as far as responsibilities, if it happens during the day at the convention, it is a responsibility of the ICC or the staff. If it happens after the main stage has closed, it falls to an HOC responsibility. The only exception to that is if the Rotary Foundation decides to have a dinner or a major donor dinner or something like that on an evening event, that falls to the foundation folks. And yes, they do schedule those right on top of your Houston or your HOC events. All right, let's talk about some of the events that we have planned. Saturday morning, actually before the convention begins, we're going to take some folks down to Galveston, down to the water so they can see the Gulf of Mexico and the Kima Boardwalk. This is a day of an amusement park, shopping, restaurants, and just a day to enjoy the water. Our HOC welcome event. Now, I will tell you, if you go to our website right now, it still says that this is our Discovery Green event. We have recently had to change this event. It was set to be in this big, beautiful park right across the street from George R. Brown, but unfortunately, our registration numbers and our ticket sales numbers for this event just did not make it cost effective for us to have this event in the park. So we're moving it just a few feet to the front door of the George R. Brown Convention Center. And as you can see, we are still going to have everything that we had planned before: entertainment from the stage, roving entertainment, food, beverages, of course. We're still planning on the armadillo races. So there's a lot of things that are going to be happening. We're just going to move it a few feet. And now we are going to have partial air conditioning. And I know a lot of folks that will come to Texas will absolutely appreciate the air conditioning. Monday night, we're going to take right now about 900 people to Space Center Houston. This is going to be a great event. We have the entire facility set for all of our guests. We will bus them out there. They will be able to see everything that Space Center Houston has to offer, and a dinner on top of that as well. It is an amazing place. And when you go, you're going to find out something very important that if you do not know it already, Houston is not only the city in which we do have Space Center Houston and NASA, but Houston is also the call sign for planet Earth. And if you have seen our a little character, Orby. We created an animated film and he was promoting the convention. Orby comes to planet Houston and then he finds out Houston is the call sign for planet Earth. So if you haven't seen that, I encourage you to go to YouTube and look up the adventures of Orby. And Orby will be live in person at the Houston Convention. Monday night, if you've already been to Space Center or if you don't want to travel that far, we are having a fantastic dinner with a very well-renowned magician, Ben Jackson. That is going to be a fun evening. We're going to have a lot of fun with, roving magicians, the show itself, and this event is in downtown Houston, so it is basically within walking distance of several of the hotels as well. Then there's always host hospitality night. That always happens on Tuesday night. And right now we have 20 Rotary clubs in the city of Houston that are hosting folks for the evening. And they're doing everything from rodeos to dance halls to regular Rotary club meetings. There's going to be a lot of fun happening that night. And this event is just about sold out. So if you are coming to Houston and you want to participate in the host hospitality night, I would encourage you to get your tickets for this as soon as you can. Also on Tuesday night, we have some great museums in the city of Houston, and we'll be taking some folks to not only our Museum of Natural Science, but the Holocaust Museum, which again is no more than like 8 minutes from downtown. Every convention will do some sort of service project, and we wanted to celebrate our newest area of focus, the environment. So we have had a gentleman create the app called the Footprint app. And this app you will be able to download before you leave home, wherever home is, and you will be able to track your carbon footprint. All the while, you will also be getting suggestions on how to offset that carbon footprint. And we will track this all through the convention. We will have leaderboards each day to see who is offsetting the most, who is carbon neutral, and it's just going to be a lot of fun. The other part to this service project is we have done a tree planting. There is a really nice walkway that extends about 4 miles from the George L. Brown Convention Center through a park. And just a couple of weeks ago, the Houston HOC went down there and we planted a bunch of new trees in that park. And we are still looking also to plant one more tree. We're looking to plant the peace tree. This is a tree that was actually a seedling and a survival from a tree that was destroyed, way back in Japan after the nuclear bomb was set off. So it's going to be an event that's not going to actually take everybody into one place. We will be able to do our environmental service project throughout the entire week individually. I do believe, though, Rotary International is looking to adopt this app and use it at every convention from now on into the future. So we'll see how this one goes. It should go great, though. These are the 2 websites that you need to know. Of course, Rotary.org. Who does not know that one? This is where you actually register for the convention and book your hotel room. And then we have the HOC website, HoustonRI2022.org. On this website, we have so many things. Of course, purchase your host event tickets. They are all listed there, and you can read up on them, see what all is going to happen, the cost of them, and book your tickets. We have our HOC merchandise, which is souvenir pins, our stuffed Orby teddy bears, and we're going to have a few other items before the convention actually begins. You can also, if you're going to be in Houston and you'd like to volunteer for the host organization committee, you can sign up to volunteer at one of our events. If you want to exhibit at the House of Friendship, you can get information on this website. And most importantly, if you would like to be a sponsor of the convention, you can get information on this website as well. And like we were talking earlier, yes, these are the future convention sites, and I am looking forward to 2025 in Calgary. I've been to Canada before. I think it's absolutely beautiful, and I can't wait to go again. Now, I understand that the next possible convention in the continental United States will actually be in 2030, and I believe that one will be in Chicago again. Okay, Houston is going to be, I think, the first convention that's going to be open to non-Rotarians. So all that you have to do is go to Rotary.org, sign up for an account there, and then you can register as a non-Rotarian, and you can partake in anything that a Rotarian can be a part of at the convention. And all Rotarians and Rotaractors should always attend a Rotary convention. Okay, now I know a lot of people are always asking me, what is a Rubik's Cube got to do with the Houston HOC? Well, I was looking for an image that best described what it's like to organize a convention. And this particular photo is absolutely perfect. We all know how a Rubik's Cube works. Anytime you change one portion of it, it changes the other 4 or 5 sections to it. You can change something else and it's going to change everything else you do. That is exactly what it's like doing a convention. Anything that the HOC does will affect anything that the Rotary International staff do. Anything they do affects anything that we do. Every little detail is there and it has to all line up in perfect color. Now, I want to share some information with you right now. I'm going to let you know where we're currently at on registration. Now, if you've been to a convention before, on Saturday morning when the House of Friendship opens, all of the registrations will literally run from the opening door to the next convention booth to sign up for the following year's convention and get their hotel room. Well, during the week of our in-person convention, generally there is 7,000 to 10,000 Rotarians that sign up right away for the next year's convention. Well, Houston is the first convention that did not have an in-person convention the year before. We did have a virtual convention and we did get about 2,500 people to register the week of the virtual convention, but not the 10,000. Now, what happens with this? Well, generally after a convention, the first thing they do is they take the numbers that have registered for next year's convention and they start a budget. Well, when they looked at the number of registrants that we received for Houston a year back in June at 2,500, that in no way came close to any previous budget. So nobody was really sure what to do. I mean, we sat there and wondered, is this going to change? Is this pandemic going to go away? Will people begin to register? And we found out the number one question that everybody had was, will Houston actually take place in person? And until that question was answered, people just like, I'll wait. I will wait. I will not register until I know it's going to take place in person. Well, I'm sure everyone got the message the same time I did. In January, the RI Board of Directors did say, yes, it's going to happen in person. So with that information, we did see people start to register, but we saw a lot of people register and still not pay their registration fee. So we watched the numbers very carefully, and then Rotary decided to extend the deadline before the rate went up to the end of February. So you had a 30-day grace in February, which you could still register, pay in February, and get the lower rate. Well, that did work. We did have over 1,700 folks did register and pay in February, which is great news for us. So having said all of this, where are we at now? The last registration numbers I got were this past Monday, and we are over 23,000 people that have registered. But, and I hate to be this part of it, we still only have about half of those that have paid their registration fee. So what's happening? Why are these folks not paying their registration fee? They know it's going to happen in person now. It's set. It's going to happen in person. Well, now we have the international Rotarians who have to get visas. So they have registered, but until they know they can get into their embassies and their visa offices to get that process started, they're not going to pay. Now, I really wish they would, because in Hawaii and in Taiwan, not one person lost any money on a registration fee when they had to cancel those events, and they will not ever lose money on canceled events. So I'm like, please just go ahead and pay. You will get your money back if you can't get your visa. Well, the truth of that is they have until April the 29th, I believe, to, say, okay, I'm not going to be able to make it. I want my registration fee back. But now the embassies have started opening around the world. And we actually even have some countries that are granting Rotarians special favors and getting them in and getting their visa process started as soon as they can and getting them ready so they can make it to the Houston Convention in time, which is good news for us. Now, generally at a convention, like I said, you have that first big boom of registrants, and then you have the weekly rate. We didn't get the big boom, but I will tell you this, since June, our weekly registration has been right in line with every other past convention. So where are we at? Like I said, to over 23,000 have registered. Only about 11,600 of those have actually paid, but we still have until the end of April to get that taken care of. So what do we have to do? Rotary International, of course, they had to revise all of their budgets. Houston HOC, we had to go back to the drawing board, not once, not twice, but now 3 times to revise our budgets. We had 3 events that were planned on Friday night. And just this past week, we actually had to make the very difficult decision to cancel those 3 events and refund the ticket sales. So, but that is the only ones that I see that we're going to have to do that on. I think everything else is going to come out just fine. The HOCs always have on-site ticket sales, and I've been told that that is always a very large number. So we are moving forward. Now, I will tell you, it has not been as easy as I thought it was going to be. Having the lower registration numbers, the lower paid numbers, that has affected everything. Not only, the goodie bags that you normally get when you check into a convention, lower budgets are going to affect that. Lower budgets are going to affect the transportation that you're going to be given from shuttles, the shuttles from the George R. Brown to your buses. You're still going to get that, but you may have to wait an extra 5 minutes for a bus. It affects our sponsorships. It greatly affects our sponsorships. When you can tell a sponsor that you have 30,000 or 40,000 people coming to a convention, they're all in with a sponsorship. But when you tell them, well, it looks like it might be somewhere around 15, they're not so eager to write the bigger checks. So that has been a struggle, but we are making progress on that as well. So overall, I think Houston's going to be in great shape. We are starting to line up our speakers. I do know of one speaker that has already signed, and I'll let you know who that is. That is the 2022 Kid of the Year, Time Magazine's Kid of the Year, who lives in North Texas. So he is going to be there, and I hear he's a phenomenal speaker, but he is set to be there in Houston. Other speakers have committed. They just haven't signed on the dotted line yet. But as those all come about, they will be released at rotary.org under the programs, under the convention tab. So now I also wanted to tell you this. Now, the pandemic is letting up. There are things that are happening, things that are moving forward. But just in case something happens and this world has to be shut down again, don't worry, you're not going to lose any money, okay? Your registration fees, of course, will be fully refunded. And if the convention is canceled, all host event tickets will be fully refunded. Okay, now the HOC does have a no refund policy on our website because we have already committed to several contracts and we have to keep those. But if the convention's canceled, then we have a whole nother area that we can work with, and you're not going to lose 1 penny. So how can you help? Well, of course, you can come to the convention. You can come down to Houston, Texas, and have some coffee with me or whatever you would like, and we can visit during the Houston Convention and have a great time. Now, we all know that all puzzles can be solved, and that's exactly what we're doing on a daily basis right now. We're solving this giant puzzle of a convention, and it is going to be a really good Rotary convention, even though our numbers may be smaller. So I really want to see you there. Now, a lot of times I do want to answer questions. I absolutely want to answer questions, but something that has happened virtually every time I do this program, somebody in the room will share a convention story. And we all have a convention story. If you've been to a convention, I think you have a convention story. So quickly, I'm going to share with you my convention story. And if there's anyone else in the room, what I would like for you to do is share your convention story. Okay. My first convention was in San Antonio. Of course, that's just 3 hours from me. Of course, I was going to San Antonio back in 2001, I believe. And my husband and I walked around. We were just absolutely amazed at all of the Rotary projects, all of the Rotary booth. The speakers were phenomenal. Seeing people from all over the world that you would never get a chance to see. We just had a wonderful time. And then we decided to take a break. We went to the House of Friendship. We sat down at an empty table. We got something to drink. And then within minutes, someone come along and said, "May we sit with you?" Absolutely. And then another person came along, "May we sit with you?" Absolutely. And this took place until the table was full. We all began talking, exchanging our club banners, and it didn't take long to realize that table represented the world. We had Texas, we had Japan, we had New Zealand, we had Egypt, and we were all sitting there coming from very different backgrounds, very different cultures, but yet we talked like we were old friends, all because we were all Rotarians. And I'll never forget that. And I have been to every convention just about since then. So if there anyone else in the room that has a convention story, I would love to hear it. And then we're going to take some questions. Anyone want to volunteer?
We have to get anybody in our audience. Yeah, they're unmuted. Go ahead, Damon.
Hands in the mic, Wally. I don't question.
Oh, I thought you did. Who has a question? Question or a story? Wow, looks like you're getting off the hook.
Ken, you gotta go around. The cameras are there.
There I am. Wally, you got a question? No? Can you hear me, Rhonda?
I cannot hear you. Go. Oh, yes, I can. Go ahead.
Okay. I have a question again. Paulie asked at the beginning, why should we come to the conference? Because we'll see and meet Rotarians from all over the world.
I'm sorry, I'm getting an echo.
Oh, sorry. What would I learn?
Wally, can you tell me what he's asking?
I think he said, what will I learn at the convention?
Oh, that is a great question. Well, if you've been to a Rotary convention, you pretty much know what to expect. But if you have not been there, what I like to tell people is you're going to understand fully why we call this Rotary International. It is a whole entire Rotary world under one roof, and you're going to see and meet so many people from so many different cultures. What you're going to learn, not only from the people you meet, you're going to learn, like I said, that we are all Rotarians, and no matter what our background and our culture is, we are all the same. We all have the same heart and the same goals. And when you step into the sessions and you hear the speakers, there's no telling what you're going to learn.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? I think we have no further questions, Rhonda, but I would sincerely like to thank you for joining us tonight. It was very enlightening. I think all of us have a better handle on why we should